Shalom, 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 my brothers and sisters of the nation of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, the Israelites that the Bible speaks. So welcome, welcome, welcome to another end of the week Sabbath class. I'm your brother Ananias.
Brother Ezekiel.
And we are A.O.I, the Awakening of Israel. And as always, it's an honor and privilege to come before you each and every week to give you another uplifting and edifying lesson. And today is no different. But before we get started, as always, we want to make sure that we give all honor, glory, praise to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh being the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai being his son, who the world calls Christ in the Paleo Hebrew. So through his strength, sacrifice, and example, we are all able to be here today to be uplifted and edified in the spirit. So we appreciate all you brothers and sisters tuning in as always. You know, make sure that you got your Bibles with you, your pen and your pad, and make sure that you're taking notes and following along. You know, but we appreciate everybody tuning in as always. But most importantly, as we speak about and comment on each and every week, remember to pray for your nation of people. Pray for the brothers and sisters of the nation of Israel, the 12 tribes who are scattered worldwide, which will consist of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Your nation of people, Israel, Yasharallah. We have to remember to pray daily, as the scriptures say, pray without ceasing. Pray for the uplifting of our brothers and sisters, for the restoration of our nation, for the downfall of this wicked kingdom that we dwell in. You know, pray that your brothers and sisters are strengthened in the spirit day in and day out. You know, pray that the Lord continue to lead you and guide you and teach you day in and day out, to keep you upright, you know, to keep you on fire in the spirit day in and day out. Pray that he builds you up with more knowledge, wisdom, and discernment, and pray that he give you the words to help bring in more laborers in this truth, to labor in the vineyard. But nonetheless, we appreciate you brothers and sisters tuning in each and every week, and we're going to jump right into it. So today's class is going to be a part 2 of a series that we started, and it's called How Do the Curses Fit the Hispanics and Native Americans, part 2. How do the curses fit the Hispanics and Native Americans? Part 2. And this class came about, or this series came about from a question that one of our brothers had posted, or brother or sister had posted in the comment section in one of the classes that we did. So we felt it necessary to put together this class to help teach and uplift our brothers and sisters, because that's our job. So this is what we're doing it for. And this is part 2. So we're going into how do the curses actually fit the Hispanics this time? The first part, or part 1, it was dealing with the Native Americans. How do we know that they are part of Israel? And we're going to show you based on the scriptures and through current events and through historical documents. All right. So what we want to do now is start off with the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4. All right. This is key.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
See that? So this is going into how we as a nation of people have discontinued, how the Lord would discontinue, meaning put a cease to or stop our heritage from existing, where we don't know who we are. We don't know our history. We don't know who our brothers and sisters are. We don't know who we are as a people. So majority of the time when you see Israelite brothers teaching and bringing out this truth or the gospel, trying to wake our brothers and sisters up, when we go and speak about or make a claim saying that the Native American Indians or the Hispanics are our brothers and sisters, a lot of our brothers and sisters get discouraged. They get upset. They face screw up and they say, nah, them ain't our people. They ain't going through the same things that we go through. Those are not our people. But we're going to aim to prove you wrong and show you, thus saith the Lord, how our brothers and sisters actually align with the curses, just like we do. You know what I'm saying? So Jeremiah 17:4 is going to how we as a people, as a nation, would discontinue from our heritage that the Lord gave us. And he said, I will cause thee to serve thine enemies. Whether we want to admit it or not, the Hispanics, the Latinos, they are serving the same enemy that we are serving, you know, in the land that thou knowest not. Where you have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. Why do we piss off the Most High? Why does he have that fire kindled of anger? Because of our constant disobedience as a nation of people. We broke his commandments. Just to sum it up, we broke his commandments, and that's a reoccurring thing that you read about in the scriptures constantly, over and over and over again, how the nation of Israel kept rebelling against the Most High, how they despised his commandments. So by us discontinuing from our heritage, we would eventually go from loving one another to knowing who we are to hating one another and not knowing who we are. And that's the dilemma that we're in right now as a people today. We don't know who we are. We don't know how to love or respect each other. And that's what repentance is all about, and us coming back into this truth, understanding who we are, and that's how we're going to solve our problems, returning back to the Lord through repentance. All right? So from there, let's go to, well, let me just read this right quick, if I can put that on. We're going to go into, you know what? Show you this quick video. And part of the reason we don't know or why we hate each other is because of some of the issues that plague us or some of the things that our enemies have put in place to destroy us. If I can find the video. There you go. A lot of us, we really don't know what's going on. Why we have a hatred toward one another. Why we can't believe that our brothers and sisters are Hispanic or Latino descent when it's actually Israelite blood. But we're going to play this video right quick, and it's going to give you a little intel on how we became divided.
Deny being black. On this video, I've had a few Puerto Ricans and Dominicans and other nationalities of the Hispanic culture say, but we don't identify with race. We don't see race. We don't even see skin color. We just see nationality and culture. That's an American thing. Racism and colorism is an American thing. So some Hispanics will make you believe that Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic are these loving islands where everyone is just Puerto Rican and Dominican, regardless of complexion or race. Now let me debunk that and give you some hard facts. My grandmother, mi abuelita, like I said, was a Native American Taino woman, but she had a lot of European blood in her too. When she brought home my grandfather, her family disowned her. Why? Because although my grandmother and grandfather were both Puerto Rican, both Hispanic, both of the Latin culture, my grandfather, my mom's dad, was black. And that was a big problem for my grandmother's family. Now, he wasn't one of those Latinos that looks mixed race or is light-skinned or doesn't have very thick Afro hair. No, he was unquestionably black. If you never heard him speak, you might think he was an African American. In Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, and pretty much most of the African diaspora within the Latin American countries, they have a saying. Excuse my pronunciation as I suck at Spanish.
I really hate to interrupt this video, but this is just a little 60-second teaser. Now, if you want to watch the rest of this, then you'll need to click the link in the description below. Because if you haven't noticed by now, YouTube and I really don't have a good relationship. So all of my videos are on my website, ikyg.com, completely uncensored and unfiltered. You can't even leave comments under this YouTube version, but you can do all of that on my website. So go and watch the whole video. You won't be disappointed. And why not join my Patreon to have access?
Man, that is not the original video. But the brother was going into how racism and colorism actually has plagued our people, you know, and it was done by this is wild right there. Done by the oppressor. Let me get rid of this video right quick. Put the other one on that I had.
When I say that Mexicans are culturally racist, they think that I'm calling us openly racist. We are culturally racist, and this is how. Part of our culture is to frown upon dark-skinned people. It's been passed down to us by the Spaniards, by our colonizers, by the people that conquered us, taught us that dark skin is inferior, light skin is superior, and things of that nature. We were taught that. It was passed down to us, meaning it's part of our culture. We are culturally racist in this aspect. That doesn't mean I go out in the streets and want to hurt black people because they're black.
Right.
It means that our teachings, the way we're raised, is that we are raised to subconsciously believe that dark skin is inferior and light skin is superior. My grandmother was visiting one day from Mexico. She's never lived in the United States. She has no idea what life is out here. When she comes for a couple of weeks, doesn't really go out. She just comes to visit the family and then leaves, typically. That's how it works. So another element in our Mexican culture is Univision News or the Univision channel. That channel is run by white Latinos. The ideologies and subliminal teachings that they teach is very similar to Fox News. White supremacist-ish. They make efforts to depict dark-skinned people as criminals, meaning that whenever they even bother depicting or sharing news about dark-skinned people, black people, is when they do something wrong, when they commit a crime, a murder, etc. But yet, when they want to mention anything that has to do with light-skinned people, specifically white people, is to depict them as them doing good deeds around the world, feeding the homeless, etc. You get it.
Yeah.
Univision News is part of our culture. It's in our everyday lives. Not mine, but culturally as a whole. It's a part of our culture. We're raised on Univision News. So with that said, to prove my point that we're culturally racist and to give an example of how we're culturally racist, one of those times that my grandmother came to visit, she came to my aunt's house. We went to visit her over there. She was watching Univision News. We were all hanging around there. As she was watching the news in the living room, something came on where they depicted a black American committing a crime, which is the only time they'll bring up black people is if they're committing a crime. They will never show a black person doing anything right, anything good. You know, similar to Fox News, similar to Fox, unless the black person is an Uncle Tom. That's the only time that they'll depict an individual dark-skinned person, specifically in this case, a black person, as a good one. Oh, the only reason why he's good or she's good is because she believes in our ideologies, things of that nature, right? She's watching this, and all of a sudden, after they showed a black person committing this crime on the news, the footage, she turned around and looked at us and said, Oye, estos negros solo estorban, ¿verdad? Now, translated in English, hey, these black folks, all they do is get in the way, huh? Now, here's the interesting part. She's never met a black person in her life. She's never even interacted with a black American in her life. She has no idea what it's like to have a black friend, a black anything. Because when she comes to this country, she only comes to visit us and then goes back home. She has no idea what it's like to interact with a black person, but yet she already has an opinion about black people as a whole. Why? Because part of our culture, in this particular case, Univision News, since we were children, all the way to teen and adulthood, we have been subliminally taught the blacks are bad criminals, etc., and whites are good, decent, giving, saviors, etc. That is how we are culturally racist. A lot of
See that? I brought that out because it's a big divide between us as a nation of people, you know, between Northern and Southern Kingdom. And a lot of us have a hatred that's built up toward them, and they have a hatred that's built up toward us. And our enemy has thrown rocks and hit his hand, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so them being taught through what they would call colorism, they would eventually try to lighten themselves up, as we see a lot of our brothers and sisters doing, whether black or Hispanic. They try to lighten themselves up to assimilate or to be accepted into white America or to this white world that we living in, white man's world. You know, as Pac put it. But I was showing this video to give an example as to why these things happen. And this is just one part of it. But ultimately, it goes back to it being part of the curses that affect us as a nation. You know, where we no longer have that love that we once had toward one another, but now it's a bunch of hatred and disrespect. And that comes from the curses. So let's go to the book of let me put this back on the screen. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 15. All right. Because what you will see or what you witnessed in that video or those two videos was what you would call colorism. And it's basically a prejudice or a discrimination against individuals who are dark skin tone, typically among people of the same ethnic or racial group. So we got colorism among our own people. We all know that as so-called black folk. You know, we grew up with folks making fun of each other based on their skin color, dark skin versus light skin.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that was instituted by our enemies. And you can read about that in the Willie Lynch letter as well. I don't have that on hand to go through, but that's something that they used in their book to say use everything against them, whether it be age, whether it be color, whether it be male or female, old or young. Use those things against to divide them. Use it against each other. So you would have a young man being disrespected by the young, or the old by the disrespected by the young, or the male disrespecting the female, or the female disrespecting the male. It said divide them at every aspect of labor, wherever they worked at, whatever they did while on the plantation, divide them. And colorism is no different. That's one way to divide us as a nation and detour us or take us away from our heritage as a people. All right. So let's go to the book of Deuteronomy right quick. Chapter 28, verse 15. just to show you what we're talking about when it goes into these curses, because we're going to use the curses to prove that the Hispanics or Latinos, as we did with the Native Americans, we're going to prove how they are our brothers and sisters based on the curses. Now, one thing I didn't, or you might have picked up on in that video, was how that brother was talking about how you got white Mexicans. White Mexicans. And that would come from the plantation owner, the slave master, whatnot, actually laying down and producing seed. Now, those kids would not be Israelite if slave master was doing these things. But imagine him having a daughter and that child, that female, sleeps with her actual brother, or Israelite. Her child is going to be an Israelite. So, but that child shade of skin will be lightened up. You know what I'm saying? So, and in another case, you would see a lot of them, what he said, white Mexicans, where, like I said, the slave master or the plantation owner would sleep or rape some of the women of our indigenous brothers and sisters, excuse me, and would produce light-skinned children, which would be Edomites, but you would not know. And that's why we don't teach on skin color. Everything is based on the spirit. That's why we teach based on the spirit, basically. We're going to bring it out, and if your spirit bear witness, then you're going to do thus saith the Lord. If not, you're going to continue on being a heathen or a Gentile. But nonetheless, let's read Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15.
Okay. Book of Deuteronomy.
Hold on, King. Something I want to put on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Can you read this? Can you see it good?
Yeah.
All right. Read it.
Okay. How do the curses apply to the so-called Hispanics and Native Americans? Part 2.
All right. Start at many Latino.
Okay. Introduction. Many Hispanics today struggle with generational poverty, broken families, systematic oppression, and spiritual confusion. But are these just the results of a colonization and economic hardship, or is there a deeper biblical reason? According to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 68, the children of Israel would face specific curses if they disobeyed the commandments of the Most High. A close examination of these curses reveals striking parallels with the historical and present day conditions of the Latino and Hispanic people across the Americas.
All right. So what we're going to do now is go into showing you how the curses actually prove who the Hispanics are. All right. So now we can read Deuteronomy chapter 28,
All right,
verse
the book
15.
of chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
All right. So it said that these curses would come upon our people if we broke the commandments of the Most High. Said they would come upon us and overtake us. We could not go anywhere in this world where we would not be subject to these curses. Anywhere that we go as a people, those curses will come upon us and overtake us. Read verse 16. So we're going to go through a few of them just to show you how these things actually, how these curses fit us as a nation. Go ahead, King.
All right. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16. Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field.
Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. Now, let me get this off the screen. All right. One of the things that we would have to deal with, let me get that off there too. Bear with me, Israel. Where we at? Distractions. All right. One of the things that we would have to go through is being cursed in the city and cursed in the field.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, being in the city as a people, we will be living in the worst conditions, as we always teach our brothers and sisters. When you think about anywhere in the world, in any major city or country, the people living in the worst conditions would be our people, the Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in America, we would label those terms as the projects or the ghetto. All right. What is the definition of a ghetto? Can you read it?
Yes. Ghetto, a poor urban area occupied primarily by a minority group or groups.
Read two.
All right. The other one is the Jewish quarter in a city.
You see that? So it's letting us know that the Jews will be living in a quarter in a city, in a poor urban area. So by definition of the word ghetto, is letting you know who the Jews are, who the true Jews are,
That's right.
according to the Bible, just off the word ghetto. And who is always making songs about living in the ghetto? Us, so-called blacks. All right. Now, we talking about the Hispanics tonight. Now, on the other end, they would say the barrios. Read that definition, King.
All right. Barrio. In the U.S., the Spanish-speaking quarter of a town or city, especially one with a high poverty level.
You see that? That's a ghetto right there. A barrio is another word for a ghetto.
Mm-hmm.
A quarter in a city, especially with high poverty level. So we living in the same areas. When you look in the ghetto, who living in there? In America? Think about that. The blacks and Hispanics living in the barrios, living in the ghetto. By definition, we know who the Jews are, who the Israelites are. All right. Just wanted to bring that out right quick. All right. Now, this is another video I wanted to show right quick. And I got some more to go with that verse as well. But when it comes down to colorism, as we were speaking about earlier, there's also some other things that plague us as a people. As I stated, when we were younger, we had problems or issues with each other where we made fun of each other based on our skin tone, whether light or dark. And it was no different in the church. And a lot of people don't want to believe it. Now, this is an actor at the top. I think the brother passed on. His name was Bill Duke. He had a couple of movies from back in the day. But listen to what the brother's saying.
The hierarchy. The brown paper bag test.
Yeah.
Can you hear that, King?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes, sir.
That in the 40s and 50s of black churches. In the 30s, you know that there was a brown paper bag on the church door on Sunday. If you put your hand on that bag, it was darker than the bag. You could not go into that black church.
This is the black church.
Black. Does that tell you something?
Yeah. It says you were fucked up. That's what.
Pardon the language, but it's showing you that even we as a people were committed to separation and divide amongst us based on skin color. And what they talking about, once again, is the paper bag skin test. That they will put a paper sack on the door of the church, and if your hand was darker than this bag, you could not come in that church. And that's the same way it was on a lot of them plantations. The lighter you were, enabled you to live in the house with the slave master, so to speak. You were privileged to do more things, you know. So it was a constant divide based on color. And that's why when you talk about, or when you hear our brothers speaking and saying the Israelites are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, automatically there is a subconscious thought that pops in our minds saying, no, them ain't our people. They too light-skinned. They don't deal with the same things that we deal with. And this is why we got to study to show ourselves approved. We can't just listen to what the TV said or what we've been hearing since we grew up. We got to actually do some research and study. You know, and now we realizing as we wake up as a people that we are under the curses for our disobedience as a nation of people. And this is what we need to have in order to bring unison or unity back to our nation of people, to understand what's really going on. All right. So let me go back. All right. As we were talking about earlier about the barrio, let's get some images as to what a barrio is. This is what you would see in Mexico or Brazil and a lot of these other areas where our brothers and sisters have been scattered. Venezuela, you know, these little Rio de Janeiro. Let me see. Where these little huts are stacked on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Barrio. Now let's go to check out what the ghettos look like. We already know. Rundown areas, high poverty, trash everywhere, no businesses. Education is bottom of the barrel. You know, people are scratching and scraping to make ends meet. That part of the city is run down. And it said this is a quarter in the city where the Jews would reside, where our people would reside as a nation of people all over the world. All right. So it was going into how we as a people would be cursed in the city. Now, how will we be cursed in the field? All right.
Hey, can I bring something, man, brother?
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but I done seen where about us being we the Israelites and we living in the ghettos. I've seen where people come in as tourists and get toured around the ghettos to see how we living.
That's right.
Groups of people to where we live at and ride them around throughout where we stay at.
Correct.
Like,
And this is another aspect of it, how we would be cursed in the field as a nation of people. We were the ones out there picking the sugar cane, picking the tobacco, the rice, and the cotton. It wasn't just us. When Columbus sailed the ocean blue, as they say, and came over here and discovered this land, so they say, with people already living here, he discovered it. He took some of the brothers and sisters that were here back with him. He took some of the imports, some of the things that he found. He took it back with him. Then he came back with more ships, not with us on board, but he came back with more ships to take over this land and to transport more of the people that were here, as well as some of his other devils, like Hernan Cortez and others. But we faced the same issue, the same oppression. We were captured by our enemies and sold and shipped around the world. And now we living in barrios and ghettos. But we were used or cursed in the field by picking sugarcane, tobacco, rice, cotton, plantation, and mining for them, you know. And that was part of this system that they had. Let me see, where is it? I'll read this part right quick.
Okay.
It says, in the Spanish colonies of America, various labor systems were employed to cultivate crops and extract resources during the period of the 1500s to the 1800s. These systems often exploited indigenous or enslaved African populations. Now, keep in mind, the Africans, so-called, or our brothers and sisters, Southern Kingdom, so-called blacks, we were not shipped over to this side until the 1600s. All right. It said one of the primary systems was the Eco-Mendia system. I might have butchered that word. But it says, which initially granted Spanish settlers the right to demand labor and tribute from specific groups of indigenous people in exchange for protection and instruction in Christianity. So they was charging our brothers and sisters and saying they would protect them. That ain't no different than the mob while teaching them Christianity. Right? However, the system quickly devolved into a forced labor and was akin to slavery for the indigenous populations. When the indigenous population declined due to disease and mistreatment, the Spanish increasingly relied on enslaved Africans to provide labor, particularly in areas like the Caribbean and parts of South America, where large-scale plantations were established. So, like I was saying beforehand, the brothers and sisters that were already on this side of the earth or the land or the world, when the settlers or the Spaniards or the conquistadors came on this side, they were using them to work them plantations. But due to the amount of disease that they brought along with them, they were dying off. So they came and got a lot of us. All right. It says the type of plantations and resources that slaves, both indigenous and African, were forced to work on included sugar plantations, tobacco plantations, other crops, mining. All right. Let's see. And the shift from indigenous to African enslaved labor to the Spanish colony was driven by a combination of factors, including the high mortality rates among indigenous people, the profitability of crops like sugar and European colonial policy, excuse me. So all these sugar companies, especially like Domino, profited off of our brothers and sisters working in them sugar cane plantations, sugar plantations, excuse me. And that's why they on top today, because of the free labor that they got off our people from back in the day, being enslaved in the field. This is how we were cursed in the city and cursed in the field as a nation of people. All right. Go to verse 21.
All right.
They're also cursed in the basket as well because their money in the countries that they live in, it don't mean nothing. So like we over here with a Burger King, we might go in there and spend $2-3 for a Whopper, but you take that same Burger King and put it in their country, it's gonna cost a hell of a lot more than what their money is worth, and they ain't getting the same quality of food. All of these things they cursed in the basket and in the store as well. But we're gonna show a few curses, even though all of them apply to them. We're gonna show a few just for time purposes. Let's go down to verse 21.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 21. The Lord shall make thee pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whether thou goest to possess it.
So the Lord said that he was going to hit us as a nation of people with curses. I mean, with disease. Excuse me. With disease. All right. Now, I'm going to show you. It says the conquistadors introduced numerous, not one or two, it says numerous diseases to the Americans that devastated the indigenous populations who had no immunity. So just like the so-called white man did, the Spaniard did the same thing, which is a so-called white man, just spoke a different language.
Mm-hmm.
The most significant of these diseases were smallpox, measles, influenza, also chickenpox, bubonic plague, typhus, and malaria. Now, especially when you go down to South America, Central America, one of the main things, especially in Brazil, that they fight against is malaria. And I think the Tika virus. It said these diseases, alongside other factors, were warfare and famine, led to a catastrophic decline in the native population. So we have to understand as well that the Lord put that pestilence on us to cleave to it because of our disobedience. And it was brought by our oppressors. Think about that. Smallpox, measles, influenza, other diseases created a high mortality, meaning a high death rate. All right. It said the diseases led to a dramatic reduction in the population, with estimates suggesting a decline of 90% or more in some areas.
It's a catastrophic decline.
Catastrophic. 90%. Think about it. That's why they got so many vaccines now, for you to be able to go to school with them. Because if you didn't have these, our children probably be knocked off going to school with the Edomites. It says it also created a social disruption. The epidemics caused widespread illness, famine, and social chaos, weakening the ability of indigenous societies to resist conquest. So they sending folks in there sick as hell to kill our people off, destroying our societies and nations. Same thing that we fighting against today. Says ecological impact. The decline in population also had significant ecological consequences, as abandoned lands were reoccupied by new flora and fauna, meaning new people, killing off the people and new people coming in to take off their land. That's what they was doing, so-called white man and Spaniard. Biological warfare. The effectiveness of disease and decimating populations led to speculation about the potential use of disease as a weapon of war. And you can read a lot of different books and articles that go into explaining how these things came about and how they even able to explain it today through various books and articles and documents. You can read the Columbian Exchange, how the smallpox devastated the Aztecs and helped Spain, Native American disease and epidemics. They got information everywhere. We just got to seek for it to understand what's really going on. All right. So once again, that disease or that pestilence was a plague or a curse that was put on us, as well as the Hispanic, by the Lord for our disobedience. And that pestilence came by through the way or via the conquistador. All right. So from there, let's jump down to verse 30.
All right, verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. That's Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 30.
All right. All right. During colonialization, conquistadors raped and killed our women, destroying families and tribes. This violence and abuse continued for generations. All right. Letting you know that the conquest by the conquistadors was not only military but cultural, by demographic and sexual domination. It served for multiple purposes, which was terrorizing the people, enforcing a hierarchy, and appropriating bodies to produce descendants and laborers. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things that you will read in the Willie Lynch letter as well. How the slave master would actually be mixing and trying to create a lighter tone that he would like to see or be around and produce more descendants and laborers. All right. So these histories are recorded not simply as isolated crimes, but as a systemic and structural violence embedded within colonialization itself. All right. So understand that actually happened as well. It wasn't just what you see in the movie happening to our people. This damn devil goes around the world doing that to any land that he moves into. Hell, he even did that with the damn folks over there in Afghanistan. That's why they ran them up out of there.
Mm-hmm.
We jump down to verse 32.
All right, verse 32. Deuteronomy chapter 28. You said 32?
Yes, sir.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fill with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand.
So our sons and our daughters will be given into another people. The same way that we'll watch the movie like Roots or look into historical texts and see how our families were destroyed coming from the west coast of Africa or from all over Africa. The same thing was happening when the conquistadors came over to this side of the world. Don't think that they just came over here and got sugar and gold and went back home. Nah, they was coming over here raping the women and destroying families, killing off the fathers and taking the women and the children back, shipping them to the Caribbean, shipping them to Europe. These things happen. Let me see if I can find it. And it said our sons and daughters will be given unto another people. All right. Show you this little video clip. Show you what's modern. We're talking about the things that happened in the past. I'm going to show you some things that are modern. Oh, where is it? There you go. This is something that happened a couple years ago, but it's still going on today.
It was something horrible. Like I couldn't explain how he was feeling and I was feeling.
It's the moment that haunted Juan Damian Tomas for years.
And so they said to you what? We were going to get separated.
After fleeing their home in Mexico, he and his father crossed the U.S. southern border in November 2018, hoping to declare asylum when they were picked up by the Border Patrol. He was just 14 years old. Juan Damian says his father was sent to jail in Colorado for 3 months before being deported. In the meantime, for Juan Damian, a heartbreaking choice.
I have 3 options, actually. I have the foster care, a group home, or be adopted. There were none options to be my dad.
Like thousands of other kids, Juan Damian was separated from his family at the southern border as part of the Trump administration's controversial zero tolerance policy. He chose the group home, where he could be with other kids his age.
Everyone was crying. He was around my age. They were like 16, 15. There was some like around 8 years old. There was a lot of kids there.
Then, one final goodbye to his dad.
He was crying the whole time, and I didn't want to cry because I don't want to make him more sad about it. And I told him I'll try my best to be good and everything. And I told him to not worry about me. Like I'm gonna see him one day, either way. One day I'll see him. I haven't seen him now about five years now.
You haven't seen him since that moment.
Since then, yeah.
But Juan Damian,
The man ain't seen his father in 5 years. Got separated at the border due to Trump's zero tolerance. Sent him up to Colorado, and he ain't seen his father in 5 years.
is not undocumented. He's a U.S. citizen born in Alabama to parents who crossed the border illegally. Advocates say Juan Damian is one of hundreds of American kids who were also separated from their parents beyond the roughly 5,500 foreign-born children previously reported, some of whom we saw firsthand at the time.
People in here are locked up in cages, essentially what look like animal.
Now keep in mind, they don't ever do this to no other nation of people.
Mm-hmm.
Only the Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do that to no other nation of people. You will never see in the United States a FEMA camp set up for the so-called Chinese or Japanese man, or the Arab man, or the East Indian man, you're not gonna see that. But every time you see these camps, there's always our people in them. The Cubans, Hispanics, the Haitians, even our folks. Check out how they doing them though.
Kennels. I don't know any other way to describe it.
To this day, the exact number of American kids is still unknown.
We don't know how many were living in all of the border areas of California, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico.
Is it possible that they weren't keeping track at all?
That is very possible.
Paige Chan is the executive director of Together and Free, a nonprofit that hopes to track down and provide relief to what they say could be 1,000 U.S. citizen children separated from their parents by the Trump administration. The Biden administration has reunited over 600 foreign-born children with their families and is still working to reunite hundreds more. Chan says that number should be higher, but American kids aren't yet eligible for the same type of help.
This finite group that you've discovered, U.S. citizen children with non-citizen parents, are not eligible to be reunited right now.
Yes, only because no one even knew that these families were being separated.
Juan Damian.
Nobody knew, huh? That's the madness. That's the foolishness that we got to deal with. Now, I would want to know why you separating. Why would you send the parents over this way and send the kids over here? What would be the purpose in it?
It's the same thing they did with us. They separated the men, the women, and the children.
Mm-hmm. And when you create that divide right there, there's no power, there's no strength.
Right.
No structure, no discipline. So they get to separate them, like they said, they put him in a foster home or a group home. Now, his mentality, his heritage, his understanding as to who he is as a people is furthermore being destroyed, and they are enabling themselves to manipulate him more and more and more. So he can grow up and be part of their system, continuing to be destroyed as a American and taking him further and further away from being an Israelite, not knowing truly who he is. This is why we got to do research and understand what's going on in this world. A lot of people don't want to hear these things. Neither do they want to put any type of work in to find out the truth. But the scriptures tell us, hey, we got to strive for the truth until death. Let me get that in Sirach chapter 4, verse 28.
Okay, hey, can I bring out script right face?
Yes, sir.
People wonder why is it so easy for them to do what they do? How is it so easy for them to separate the parents from the kids and have them not being able to see their mother and fathers for over 5 years? We're gonna read book of Malachi, chapter 1, verse 4, and it reads, whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus said the Lord of hosts, thou shalt build, but I will throw down, and thou shalt call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. So the Most High called them the border of wickedness. And like I said, a border is the beginning of something and the end of something. And Most High called them the border of wickedness. They are the beginning of wickedness, and they will be the end of wickedness.
That's right.
He has indignation or hatred for them forever, for how they are doing his people, his children. So that's what they are, the beginning and end of wickedness.
Right.
What you wanted out
That's
of
a good point.
right.
Give me Sirach chapter 4, verse 28. Sirach chapter 4, or Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 4, verse 28.
All right. Ecclesiasticus chapter 4, verse 28. Strive for the truth unto death. And
Do
Lord,
what?
strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee.
See that? The Lord says, strive for the truth unto death. Don't grow up and teach continuous lies to your children. Nah, strive for the truth.
That's right.
Parents, we want the children to tell us the truth. Hey, we got to be striving for truth ourselves. You know, strive for the truth unto death. Who are you? Who are we as a people? Seek out that truth. Seek out that understanding. You read the Bible, but you don't know who it's written to. Seek, strive for the truth. Why my life ain't where it need to be? Strive for the truth. Find out why it ain't where it's supposed to be. You don't want to look in the mirror and you want to hold your head down. Strive for the truth unto death to figure this thing out. And the Lord shall fight for thee. When you fighting for lies, you fighting to go against the Lord, he gonna fight against you. He ain't gonna fight for you, he gonna fight against you. That's why it's important for us as a nation to strive for the truth and stop damn lying all the time and accepting lies and teaching lies.
Mm-hmm.
Let me finish playing this video. See what else on.
Lived in 3 different group homes in Arizona.
Families were being separated.
Juan Damian lived in 3 different group homes in Arizona before attending high school in Los Angeles. He's now 20, working at Burger King, and has enrolled in community college. He hopes a federal court will order the Biden administration to provide relief to him and other U.S. citizen children separated from their parents by the Trump administration, and help bring him one step closer to his dream. His family reunited, living together with him in the City of Angels.
I don't think
That's what we should be striving for. Not only the truth, but for our brothers and sisters to be living together in unity, becoming a family again, a nation again, striving for that.
many people would be able to do what you're doing right now, to share your story. How do you do it?
Well, I do it for my parent family. Actually, I do it for my law firm family because I know this. They feel the way they're not here. I still feel their love. They never give up on me. Either way, they're not here.
And it doesn't sound like you're giving up on them either.
No, I'm never gonna give up on them.
Jacob Soboroff.
You see that? So they being stripped and ripped apart just like our folks was being stripped and ripped apart and still continue to go through these things. You know what I'm saying? So, let me see. And how did this happen? Put this on the screen. How did these things happen? Through colonialism, through the hand of the conquistador, through the hand of the enemy, through the works of Satan. Our enemy, Esau, the Spaniard, selling our brothers and sisters, burning them alive, putting them on them ships, separating the family while sons and daughters would be given to another people.
Mm-hmm.
Losing our minds, losing our heritage, not understanding who we are. Those are biblical curses put upon our people by the hand of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, because our people don't understand what's going on. Lord willing, this is edifying information to teach our brothers and sisters what's really going on. We're going back to the curses. Jump down to 33.
All right. Deuteronomy 28, verse 33. The fruit of thy land and all thy laborers shall a nation which thou knewest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always.
See that? The fruit of thy land. All the work that they put in, they ain't getting no props from that.
Right.
Was not eat up. The other nations came over. Spaniards came over. The conquistadors came over, taking their land, stripping their resources, or our resources. I put it that way.
And they go the same way how they go over to Africa and steal all the resources from them.
Exactly. And what do they got them folks over there doing? I got our brothers doing over there mining, still working in the field, you know?
For nothing, for a little bit of nothing.
Exactly.
China coming over there, taking their land, got the Chinese over in Africa, got Africans working for them now, beating them up at the work site.
Right.
You can't picture a bunch of Africans over there in China mistreating Chinese people. You can't even
Right.
picture, but they over in Africa.
All right. So that's going to show you how they are being exploited, how they labeling their resources, leaving the people in poverty. You know, that's why they trying so hard to get over to the United States, trying to cross over that border, cross over them rivers, putting their life on the line, loading up in the back of 18-wheeler trailers, putting their life on the line, trying to get over here. Because in the fruit of their land and the labor that they put in, it ain't worth nothing in their own land. We're in those countries. Because that ain't their own land, because they don't control anything in those lands. Even though that's where they living at, they don't control anything. They don't control the value of their money or the product that they produce. They don't control that. They can't even the water though. It'll destroy you. Have you sick. You know, they don't control these things. They live there just like we live here. We don't have no control over anything. Whether we in the ghettos or not, we ain't got no control in this land. So it's going to show you how these curses affect our brothers and sisters. All right. Jump down to verse 41.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
They shall go into captivity. Not only on the slave ship, but if you look at modern times, they in the gang violence, with the mass incarceration, U.S. deportation policies. You know,
that's captivity.
Exactly. I'll show you this little clip right quick of how they deported them and shipped them to Venezuela. Where is it at? Or just El Salvador. Same thing.
Secretary Kristi Noem visited the high-security prison where Venezuelan deportees are being held. Here's what happened on her trip. On March 26th, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem visited Secot Mega Prison, where Venezuelans who the Trump administration alleges are gang members have been held since they were forcibly removed from the United States under the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. The Trump administration's allegations of gang activity resulted in the deportation of Venezuelans with little or no due process in defiance of a court order blocking such deportations. Many of the prisoners were deported because of tattoos that gang experts have asserted are not proof of gang affiliation. Noem's trip was intended to serve as a warning to migrants with the hopes of intimidating those residing in the U.S. without proper citizenship documents.
I also want everybody to know, if you come to our country illegally, this is one of the consequences you could face. First of all, do not come to our country illegally. You will be removed and you will be prosecuted.
She's very bold and prideful. Talking about don't come to our country. It ain't your country.
That's right.
It's crazy as hell for them to even be able to speak like that. But that shows you how prideful they are.
Right. Right. Her name is
Go ahead, King.
I just was saying her name is Kristi Noem. She's a Donald Trump flunky. And anytime you kiss up to Donald Trump, he tend to put you in a high, give you a high position that you are really not qualified for. Just because you seem to like him or show him favoritism. And she really not qualified to have a position where she has. And that's not just her, it's a lot of his appointees. You just gotta show him that you like him. And he'll put you somewhere where you're not really qualified to be.
Right. Now, this is something that has been going on continuously, but this is just something that's in modern times that you will see and understand. We're giving you edification behind it.
But know that this facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use.
One of the tools in our toolkit that we will use. Now, this is in Venezuela. They doing that down there in Miami. At is it Miami? I know it's in Florida.
Alligator.
Right.
It's in the, I think it's in the Everglades.
Yeah. So they got the alligator Alcatraz, which is something similar to this.
Mm-hmm.
And you seen how they was rushing the people in there, running them in there, cutting them ball, have them stacked on top of each other, about 40 people in a cell.
Right.
This is what they doing to our brothers and sisters.
And
If
they
you commit crimes against.
So what?
I apologize. I found out they getting like the agents, the ICE agents, getting like $1,500 per head.
No wonder they going so hard.
Right. They getting like $1,500 per head. And they caught them on, hot mic, I should say, talking about it.
Wow. $1,500 a head.
Right.
Unbelievable.
The American people.
Noam's tour included 2 crowded cell blocks, the isolation unit, and the prison's armory. Footage from the tour showed a number of prisoners who were told by guards to remove their t-shirts and face masks, then line up near the front of the cell, showing heavily tattooed bodies to the cameras. Her visit to the Terrorism Confinement Center highlighted the uncertain future of deportees, with prisoners unsure when, if ever, they will be released from the prison. They are not serving sentences, and according to CNN, they no longer appear in U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement's online detainee locator and have not appeared before a judge in El Salvador. Noam's visit to El Salvador is part of a 3-day trip. She will travel to Colombia and Mexico in the coming days.
So you got them locked up. They ain't even been before a judge.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't even got no case.
No due process.
None of that.
And I want to bring something else out right fast.
Go ahead,
Another reason that Donald Trump got these ICE agents doing this mass deportation is the statistics show that by the year 2040 something or 50 something that Esau will no longer be a minority in the United States. The United States will be more of a brown colored country, and they know it. So they don't want to see that happening. That's why they are doing their best to get as many black and brown people out of this country as possible while they got this clown Trump in office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They've been the minority forever, and they cannot handle not being the minority. For some reason, they feel like if they're not the minority, their world will come crushing down on them, and that's what they're trying to stop.
That's right. So going back to the curses, we're going to go down to verse 43 and 44.
All right? Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Verse
All
44.
right. Go ahead.
He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
See that? And it said, the stranger that is among us going to come up very high, and we're going to come down very low. As great of people we is, as hard as working as we are as a nation of people, we still on the bottom. And the ones that don't do work are the ones ruling over us. And they the one that label us as being lazy. But we do all the work, yet and still they ruling over us. You know? Then it said, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. Neither one of us, black or Hispanics, lend to the other nations. We don't lend to the Chinese or Japanese. We don't lend to the so-called white man, to the Arab man. We don't lend to them. But we go to them to get deals on furniture, cars,
Gotta get your mortgage.
finances, house. We go to them for that. Proving our brothers and sisters to be part of the 12 tribes. They being oppressed the same just as we are. Let me get that in Jeremiah chapter 50 and 33 again.
All right.
Jeremiah 50 and 33, I believe.
All right.
Got it?
Going to it now. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 33. Thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go.
See that? Letting you know that both kingdoms, northern and southern kingdom, as you see on the thumbnail, let me bring that up. This is northern kingdom, which would be the Hispanics or Latinos and Native American Indians. They that took them captive held them fast, and they refused to let them go. You know, refused to let them go. They might be shipping them out of the U.S., but they ain't letting them go free.
Mm-mm.
What we just watched? They were shipping them to another prison, shipping them out of here and shipping them to a prison in Venezuela. They refuse to let them go because they can get work out of them. They ain't gonna let them go. When the last time you seen a horse running in the wild?
You ain't gonna see it.
Horses just running around in the wild. They ain't gonna let them run free because they can get something out of them. They can have that horse hooked up, pulling some carriages, racing or running or toting them around wherever they want to go. They ain't gonna let them horses go free. Likewise, they ain't gonna let us go free. All that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Brought this out to show you that we as a people are oppressed together, going through the same thing, even though we don't know exactly who we are. Even though we've been taught to hate each other. Even though society says that we're different, we are the same. And we're going over the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28 to prove these things. We're not going through every curse, just going through a few for time's sake. But all the curses line up with our so-called Hispanic brothers and the Native Americans. All right. And it was something else that was said in that video I wanted to bring out. Let me go to Lamentations right quick. Because she made a statement saying that we were aliens, illegal aliens. But they are actually the aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Let me take that off the screen. It's locked. Can you read that, King? This is Lamentations chapter 5, starting at 01, starting at verse 1.
I gotta read that here.
All right.
Book of Lamentations, chapter 5, verse 1. Remember, O Lord, what is come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. Verse 2.
Read.
Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens.
Read that one more time, King.
Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens.
You see that? Our inheritance, our land, our identity, our way of being is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. Everything that we had is now given into the hand of the strangers, to aliens.
Mm-hmm.
But they calling us aliens now. See how that is? Everything is flipped upside down. Where we supposed to love one another, they have told us to hate one another. Where we are supposed to be above everybody, they telling us that we are below everybody. We supposed to be ruling, we getting ruled over or reigned over.
Mm-hmm.
The land we supposed to have is turned to aliens. You see that?
Who is that over in Israel right now? They are aliens.
Exactly. They're Gentile.
The people over here in this land what belong to the Native American, they are aliens.
Mm-hmm. Read on down, King.
These Latinos are not aliens. And they know, and the people who calling them aliens know that they are not aliens. They know how they got this land. They know this is stolen land.
Right.
But then us not knowing that those are our brothers, some of us call them illegal aliens ourselves. not even knowing that your brother. You signed with your enemy saying, yeah, them illegal aliens taking our job. No, the real illegal alien got you brainwashed, telling you that your brother is the illegal alien.
Mm-hmm.
But you got it, brother.
Read on down though. Verse 3. We're gonna read to 5.
What was that?
Lamentation chapter 5, verse 3.
All right. Verse 3. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows.
See that? We are orphans. An orphan ain't got mother, father, ain't got no family. Fatherless, ain't no fathers in the household. Our mothers are as widows. As widows. No husbands. No guidance. No structure. No protection. No provision. Read on.
Verse 4. We have drunken our water for money. Our wood is sold unto us.
Now the water that fall from the sky, we got to pay for. The wood, the trees that was created for us, we got to buy it now. That's how everything is backwards. Read.
Verse 5. Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest.
And have what?
We labor and have no rest.
And have no rest. We have no rest. We under persecution constantly as a nation of people. Whether in the truth or out of the truth, we under persecution. And our people don't even realize it. But I just wanted to bring that out to show you how we are oppressed together. And how in that video, the Edomite was talking about how our brothers and sisters are aliens. And that was crazy. But from there, let's go back to these curses. Deuteronomy chapter 28. And let's go to 48.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
So one of the main curses that the Lord said would happen is he would send. He said, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. You won't hear that talked about in the Christian church at all.
Mm-mm.
They will not make reference to this verse right here. Why? Because it's going to show that the Lord put his people in captivity. And if you show that and you teach on that, well, you're going to have to figure out, well, who did he send into captivity? Who he got serving his enemies? Then it's going to have to point to who are the Israelites. This is why they don't talk about these things in the church. That's why they always say, we're in the New Testament now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's foolishness. But reading the curse again, it says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. So we got enemies, Israel. Just because they ain't got a gun to your head don't mean they're not your enemy. The Lord said we would serve our enemies, that he would send against us in hunger. And as we bring out all the time, we would serve our enemies in hunger by having to go work for them in order to get paid by them to go buy groceries from them. Think about that. Anything you want, you got to work to go get from your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with food, and in thirst, and in nakedness, the clothing. And it said, in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Not destroyed us off the earth, but destroyed us mentally, spiritually, physically, and financially. We have been destroyed all the way around as a nation of people. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Now, think about this. We people always say they want to go on vacation. They want to go out the country, me, myself included. We want to go to these other nations or other countries. I say countries like Brazil or Chile, Argentina, Mexico, Panama, whatever it may be. You go to these individual places, but they are not run by the people who live there. The places that we go to vacation in are ran by the so-called white man or the Spaniard. Think about that. We want a vacation to go somewhere that's exotic, but it's ran by our enemy. So we constantly having to pay them in everything and every facet of life. That's why the Lord said we're going to have to go to them in want of all things. And he said he's going to put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he had destroyed thee. You know, back in the day, had an opportunity to go to the Bahamas. Went there, and I had this thought in my mind on what the place was going to look like. But when I got there, the airport was not exactly what I expected. It wasn't what I expected at all. But once I left the airport and ride in the van to get to the resort, it looked like the barrios. It looked like the ghetto all around the island until you get to where Esau has dominated or where he has built up his empire at, his area where he's going to make his money at. And those are the nice looking areas, so to speak.
Precept.
Go ahead, King.
This is Job chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
I'll be right back, King.
Say that again.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Right. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So, like the scripture say, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. We already know who the wicked is. That's Esau. That's why, like the brother was bringing out, it wasn't what he thought it was going to be when he went to the Bahamas. Because the Most High says that the earth is given to the hands of the wicked, even though that's a place where our people are. When it comes to the people who control that area, they're not going to be our people. It's going to be who the Most High calls the wicked, because he said the earth is given unto them. That's why they're able to be in control of parts of the world where our people are. Like he said, in the area where in the ghetto part of the area, we were there, but in the main district where the money flowing, the nice parts, Esau there. So that's why they're able to be in those areas like that, because like the scripture said, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked.
That's right. Appreciate that, King. And then at the same time, it says, well, a lot of so-called Americans will be the first one to say they're taking all our jobs. Get them out of here. They're taking our jobs. But they don't want to do no damn work. Like I said earlier, they want to label us as being lazy, but they don't want to do the work.
Hey, brother, if Esau ain't pointing, do this, do that, giving out instructions, directions, if he not doing it, he don't want to do the job. If he got to do something physical, he don't want to do it. And I've seen, for example, when I was young, I worked at a restaurant. And in that restaurant, they had pots that was taller than me. I can get in there and clean them pots. So when they had got some Edomites came in there, and they were 2-3 times my size. But they couldn't handle that position washing them pots. And Esau knew that there was too much for this giant Edomite to do. He knew there was too much work for him. So they started letting these big old Edomites, instead of them having them in the back washing pots and washing dishes, they decided to put them on the front, serving food. Cause back in the back of the restaurant, that was too much for them.
They too good for it, so to speak.
Right. They got to be able to tell you what to do. If they ain't giving you instructions, they ain't with it.
Right. So here go a little video clip, just showing some of the things, or you'll just pay attention to it.
You know what, man? I've seen a couple of videos and episodes on the news that how white people complain, talking about how Mexicans take their jobs. Well, we ain't taking their jobs. We're just doing the things that they don't want to or don't have the ability of doing. You know what I'm saying? I would like to hire a crew, American white people crew, to come out here and pick these buckets for 45 cents a bucket. That's 45 cents of the United States currency. I want them to come and try it. I got some of these guys out here that pick from 300 to 400 buckets a day. You know, make a decent living. You know, why don't y'all white motherfuckers come out here and try it?
I love them, bro. That's right.
You see that out there picking buckets for 45 cents. Esau ain't getting ready to do that. Moab ain't getting ready to do that. But they say, hey, they taking our jobs. Think about that. But you know, more than often, our brothers actually work for a lower wage, rely on foreign aid, and struggle to access clean water, education, and healthcare, serving enemies for survival. That's part of that curse. We would have to go to our enemies and want all things. You know what I'm saying? Showing you and proving to you once again that they are our brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to verse 49.
All right.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 49.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the ends of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
All right. So this verse is showing you and telling you how the Lord will send a nation against us, not for us, but against us from far, to come oppress us, to rule over us. Why? For our rebellion as a nation of people. Now, as we brought out in part 1, we explained how our brothers and sisters got on this side of the earth before everybody else did. And you can read about that in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 40 through 45, I believe. And it explains how we took over a year and a half to get over to this side of the world. And the Lord, paraphrasing, held still the flood so we could cross over. All right. So we were over here. I believe it said 533 BC. That's before Christ hit the scene. So our folks was already, majority of the northern kingdom was already living on this side of the earth 500 years before Christ hit the scene. You know, not all northern kingdom, but majority were on this side of the earth 500 years plus before Christ hit the scene. So it said that they would go and dwell in a land where never mankind dwelt. So, which leads us to this video, and I'm going to show you why Columbus even came this way. All right.
Why did you wish to sail west? To open a new route to Asia. Asia is the richest kingdom, the land of spices and gold.
Now, this is a movie called 1492, The Conqueror of Paradise, or The Conquest of Paradise, where he was trying to find another way to get to Asia.
At the moment, there are only two ways of reaching it. By sea, sailing around the African continent. The journey takes a year. Or by land. But the Turks have closed this route to all Christians. There is a third way. By sailing west across the ocean sea.
The distance is unknown. It's said to be infinite.
Superstition. I believe the Indies are no more than 750 leagues west of the Canary Islands.
Can you be so certain?
The calculations of Toscanelli, Marin de Tir, Esdras.
Esdras is a Jew.
So what's worse?
2 minutes, and already you're a dead man.
You see that? He talking about Ezra. That's the book we were talking about in the Apocrypha, 2nd Ezra, chapter 13. He said Ezra is a Jew, an Israelite.
And already you're a dead man.
For telling the truth?
Yes. 2 minutes.
The calculations of Toscanelli, Marin de Tir, Esdras.
Esdras is a Jew.
So what's worse?
2 minutes, and already you're a dead man.
He said, so was
For telling
Christ.
the truth?
Yes. We are burning people for less. The men you're about to confront have no emotion.
You see that? That's why we got to wake up and understand what's really going on and how our people got on this side of the earth. They put it right in front of our faces. Sometimes we just watch just to watch instead of watch to understand. They put it in the movies. And everything that we watch, they giving us clues. We just got to be paying attention. All right? So this is why they came this way. Now, when you watching this, he's saying it as if he's coming to explore, trying to find another route to Asia. But once he found what he found, Arsaber or the Americas, he came back trying to conquer it. He came back with more reinforcements, with more soldiers, more swords, more wickedness, raping the women, more disease, more ways to plotting and plan to cover their land, as they always do. You know? All right. So from there, let's go to Deuteronomy 28:64. Once again, brothers and sisters, we just showing you a few curses to show you how the Hispanics or Latinos or Northern Kingdom actually prove that they are part of the nation of Israel. They are our brothers and sisters going through the same things. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
All right. So we will be scattered. That was prophecy. The Lord spoke about that in Deuteronomy chapter 4. He told us that we would be scattered amongst all nations. That was that blessing that he was talking to Abraham about, how all nations would be blessed because of him. Our brothers and sisters would be scattered among all nations, doing the work, coming up with the inventions, being the trendsetters, being the salt of the earth, giving this earth flavor, you know. But that was part of the curse that was poured out upon us because of our rebellion. But it was destined to be that way, you know. Because when Adam fell, it was destined for that to happen to us. But this is showing you how we would be scattered in other lands and other nations, and would start to serve other gods. And where is it? It's not it. All right, can you read?
Yeah. Okay. Here are multiple well documented historical sources and events that clearly demonstrates how Spanish conquistadors and colonial authorities insisted on the forced conversion of indigenous people to what it is
Catholicism.
Catholicism during the colonization of the Americas.
All right. So what we getting ready to go through now is show you some facts about how the conquistadors actually forced our brothers and sisters to join that Catholic faith, believe in Christianity, as we were speaking about earlier. All right. And got several books and documents that you can go to information. All right. This was the first one right here, a Spanish requirement of 1513. This official declaration read to indigenous people, often in Spanish they didn't understand, asserted Spain's divine right to conquer and convert them and threatened war, enslavement, or death if they resisted. And this can be found in on Wikipedia and other sources. But it was a requirement of 1513. So they came over there speaking a language that they did not understand, as the scripture said. The Lord said, I will send a nation upon you. Let me go find that right quick. Yeah. Verse 49, Deuteronomy 28:49, it said, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. So they came over with peace treaties or with what it said? The Spanish requirement, speaking in their language, which we did not understand, or our brothers didn't understand, saying that they got the right to conquer and convert them and threaten war, enslavement, or death if they resisted. All right. You got the laws of Burgos. While these laws are purported to protect indigenous rights, they mandated and forced instruction in Catholic doctrine. And often through Spanish reductions where native peoples were relocated, baptized, and compelled to attend Mass. And this is why our Hispanic brothers and sisters are so in tune with the Catholic doctrine or belief or religion, because it was forced upon them the same way Christianity was forced upon us. All right. You got Franciscan missionary violence and coercion in Yucatan. Franciscan friars preached non-violently at first, but by 1513, they were legally permitted to use physical punishment on resisting Mayans. Reports describing flogging, which is whipping, hair pulling, chain imprisonment, and even mutilations to enforce religious compliance. So they were doing all of these different things to try to convert our brothers and sisters over to their religions, to turn us away from the Most High, to assimilation by punishment, by death, by mutilation, meaning chopping off body parts, cutting off feet, arms, even a private area. It said destruction of the indigenous religion and temple. Spanish conquerors, included Cortez himself, ordered the destruction of native religious symbols and temples, replacing them with Catholic churches, destroying idols, burning sacred objects, and literally building Christian sites atop indigenous sacred spaces. So they came in, took over, and forced them to learn their language, learn their customs, and be a part of their religion. And all of this was forced by the oppressor, by the conquistador. And this is why the Catholic religion is so heavy amongst the Hispanic brothers and Latino brothers and sisters. All right. And it's a lot of different books, documents, museums that you can go to find out this information. But these are the things that are not talked about. And another thing I wanted to bring out was how they serve. I'll read it. Can you read it?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
In Latin America, Catholicism, there's a visible presence of both, while black representation of Jesus.
Of who?
While in black representation of Jesus.
So in Latin America, there's a presence of a white and a black Jesus. You got Caesar Borgia, and then you got another image of what they would call the Black Nazarene. Let's read on.
All right. While Jesus and its history, white Jesus and its history. European colonization of Latin America introduced Christianity and image of a white Jesus, which reinforced a social heresy
Hierarchy.
hierarchy with the European at the top.
With who?
With the Europeans at the top.
You see that? Who was at the top? The so-called white man at the top, at the social hierarchy. So you got the white man at the top and everybody else is below him. All right. Now jump down to the Black Nazarene.
All right, the Black Nazarene. The Black Nazarene is a revered image of Jesus Christ carrying the cross, particularly among Filipino Catholics. It is a dark colored wooden statue brought from Mexico to the Philippines in the 17th century. Devotees flock to it, believing it to be a miraculous and to believing it to be miraculous and to have the power to heal illness. The annual procession of the Black Nazarene in Manila, the Philippines, is a significant religious event. Some believe statue turned black after surviving a fire during its journey from Mexico, while others believe it symbolizes the struggle and resilience of the Filipino people. The image of the Black Nazarene offers a sense of solidarity and hope to the poor and suffering, connecting with their experiences.
All right. Appreciate that, King.
Yes, sir.
So what you see here is pictures of our brothers and sisters worshiping the Black Nazarene and at the same time worshiping white Jesus. Madness. Madness. It's idolatry, but you got a white and a black Jesus that they worshiping and bowing down to.
They can't let the white Jesus go.
Right. They don't know what to believe. You know? That's crazy. But just going to show you how we were spread, or not spread, sent among all nations, and we would be serving other guys. You know, you serving white Jesus, you bowing down, you're kissing the feet of it. Then you turn around and run down the street and try to jump on the black Jesus. It's confusion right there, and the Lord is not the author of confusion.
Right.
You know? So we would be scattered among all people, but while being scattered, we would be forced to learn their customs, serve their gods, serve gods that our fathers never knew, even wood and stone. So a lot of our brothers and sisters, mainly of Southern Kingdom, which is Judah, Benjamin, Levi, would be over. We are involved in the stone, which is Islam, or being a Muslim. that wood represents Christianity. And a lot of our brothers and sisters are involved with that. And that goes along with Catholicism. That's another form of Christianity. But that's why our brothers and sisters are so heavy in that, because it was forced upon them by the conquistadors or the Spaniards, you know, proving and showing you through the curses who we are and why we go through the things that we go through. All right, got one more verse and then, well, one more curse. Go down to verse 28. This is the one that we always talk about, speak about.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 28. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart.
Deuteronomy 28, 68.
Oh, you said 68. I thought you said 28. I apologize. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
See that? So this was showing you and explaining to our brothers and sisters how the Lord would do these things. Now we always go to Exodus chapter 20, verse 2 to explain what Egypt means. This is a word that is not necessarily associated with a place, but it's telling you that Egypt represented bondage, slavery. So the Lord was telling us that he would send us back into slavery again with ships. How do we end up all around the world? By mode of transportation of ships, cargo slave ships. They did not name them slave ships, so you will not find slave ships found anywhere. It was cargo ships with different names. So a lot of our brothers and sisters be like, man, ain't no slave ships that came over here and did where they at. Ain't no slave ships. No, they were cargo ships. We were considered to be part of the cargo. Not the only cargo, part of the cargo that was being transported from continent to continent or country to country. All right. So the Lord said he would send us back into slavery again with ship. And then thou shalt see it no more again, meaning the homeland that we were once living in, we weren't going to see it again as a nation, as a whole again. You can see it online today. You can take a flight over there, but as a nation, as a whole, we were not going to see it again until he come to get us. And it says in there, meaning where we would get off those ships to be sold, get off those ships, excuse me. Ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Meaning ain't nobody going to be able to save us as a nation, buy us out of that captivity. We still in it to this day. So understand that as well, brothers and sisters. And transatlantic slave trade is what they call it when you look up in your history books or look and do any type of history research. Transported all around the world. And prior to the transatlantic, you had the sub-Saharan trade slave. Slave trade, I say that backwards. It's like, but nonetheless, when Columbus came over this way, when Hernan Cortez came over this way, we were not on the ships. So-called black man, we was not on the ship. Judah was not on the ship. They came over and Northern Kingdom was here. They took Northern Kingdom and shipped them first. First. Understand that. When they started dying off and they were killing them over this way, then they started shipping us over here. So just like when you read in the scriptures, Northern Kingdom went into captivity first. The Assyrians came to get them first. It wasn't us first. It was the Assyrians. So when going back into Egypt again, going back into slavery again, it would be natural for Northern Kingdom to go into captivity first. But this is why we got to do research to understand what's really going on. All right. Can you read it?
All right. Transatlantic slave trade involved the forced migration of approximately 12 million Africans across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas, primarily between the 16th and 19th century. The
You know
horrific.
how long that is? You know how many years that is? And people be like, I don't think that's possible. I don't think people understand how long a year is for you to transport some people. But it's talking about centuries went by. 16. So that was the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. That's 400 years. 400 years right there. Of boats going back and forth. I don't think that's possible. And you crazy as hell. The Lord said that we are as the sand of the sea. I don't think that happened. Where the slave ships at? We got to do more research, brothers and sisters. We can't lean on our own. We got to go do some research. We got to pray for the Most High to open our minds, to open them doors so we can find this information. That's why he tells us, seek the truth until death, and the Lord will fight for you. But read on, though, King, starting at this horrific.
This horrific period in history is also known as the Triangle Trade, connecting Europe, Africa, and the Americas. The Middle Passage, the journey across the Atlantic for enslaved people, was particularly brutal, with high mortality rates due to disease and inhumane conditions.
You see that? And it wasn't just us as so-called black folk, even though the Hispanics and Native Americans were dark skinned as well. Before the introduction of colorism and the tampering of the so-called white man or the Spaniards, laying down with our brothers and sisters. At one point in time, we were all dark, all right? But transatlantic slave trade involved us all as a whole, as a nation, being forced to serve our enemies as part of the curses that the Lord put upon us as a nation of people for being rebellious, all right? So these curses, they are not random. They were signs of a broken covenant as a nation with the Most High. All right. And the curses, they are punishments meant to provoke Israel to repent and to return to the Most High. The Latino, Hispanic people are not forgotten or rejected, but chastised and beloved children, just like we are. The hardships, the trials and tribulations that we experience today are spiritual consequences of a lost identity and disobedience to the Most High's commandments. At the end of the day, Deuteronomy 30 actually outlines what we have to do. Let's go to that right quick. We ain't gonna stay on it long. We're just gonna show you what it is. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1. And we're gonna read to verse 7.
All right. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and curses which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I commanded thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will return the captivity and have compassion upon thee, to return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord hath scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And the Lord thy God will bring and the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy father possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy father. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thy heart and thy heart and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. Verse 7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee.
You see that? All praise. Appreciate that, King. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
going to tell you and explaining to us as a nation how we got to go through the blessing and the curse and return to the Lord. Once we do these things, then the Lord gonna have mercy upon us, have compassion upon us, and turn our captivity, meaning gather us out of captivity from every corner of the earth and put us back in the land that we're supposed to be in, that he promised to our forefathers. Then he gonna circumcise our hearts, meaning cut off the wickedness of this world, so that we can fully serve the Lord and understand who we are and what we're supposed to be doing. Then the Lord gonna put all these curses upon our enemies, the ones that hate us, the ones that are ruling over, the ones that persecute us right now. That's what we waiting on. That's the patience of the saints right there. To be gathered by the Father, to return home, to seek him, to love him, to serve him in peace. While our enemies are put beneath us, made our footstool, where they serving us again, where we in rulership. But in order for that to happen, our Latino and Hispanic brothers, they got to remember who they are. Children of Israel, they got to return to the law. They got to repent just as we have to as so-called blacks and Native Americans. We got to return to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High and have faith and be obedient in order for these things to happen. All right? So, at the end of the day, Lord willing, you brothers and sisters learn something that the Hispanics they are our brothers and sisters. The Native Americans, they are our brothers and sisters, and we already know the so-called black. We are all one nation of people, the nation of Israel, consisting of 12 tribes who have been scattered worldwide. You know, it's our job to return to the Most High, to seek repentance, to be obedient, to have faith, to love him, to love ourselves, to love one another. And at the end of the day, we got to come together. All right. So on that note, I pray and hope you brothers and sisters learned something. Hope the class wasn't too long. But we always appreciate everybody for tuning in, for watching. Make sure that you share this content because it needs to be spread amongst our brothers and sisters. Also, if you have not yet done so, subscribe to the channel. But at the end of the day, remember to pray for your brothers and sisters. And today's class was called How Do the Curses Fit the Hispanics and Native Americans, Part 2, going into the Hispanic. And I'm Brother Ananias.
Brother Ezekiel.
And we are A.O.I, the Awakening of Israel. And it's been an honor and a privilege. And we want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua for the abundance of all things. Lord willing, you all learn something tonight. But on that note, Lord willing, we'll see you next week with another class. And we say shalom, shalom, peace and greetings to you all, and we out.
Oh.